Welcome back to the Hooked with TMO Fishing Podcast, where we talk about fishing and recovery and who knows what else is going to come up. My name's Tim Moore. Thanks for joining me today. We are joined a special guest today. I've really been looking forward to this one. Matt Johnson from Clam Outdoors. Matt's a fishing guide in Minnesota, but he's also the pro staff director for Ice Team, Clam Outdoors, Blackfish, all-terrain tackle.
Yeah.
Is that everything?
Yeah, that's about it, man.
Hey, Matt, how are you?
How you doing, buddy?
Good. Great to see your face.
Likewise.
Looking forward to actually being able to come out there in August and see everybody.
We're pretty pumped up, man. Yeah, we're already planning the big day, as people call it there, the Clam Pro Day. So pretty excited. It's obviously with the pandemic, we couldn't see each other last year, and I think the anticipation this year is pretty big.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, cool. So, I mean, I just kind of brushed on, what you do, but talk a little bit about your background and I mean, I kind of know the story just from my perspective. I was trying to break into the Clam Outdoors atmosphere for a few years before you took the job that you have now with Clam. And so you were actually the one that brought me on to the Clam Pro staff and gave me a shot. But before that, you were an Ice Team pro.
Yep.
So it was weird when I got that email that you worked for them, because you were one of the people that from out here I was following out there. I was pretty dialed into, what Ice Team was and who they were, and knew I wanted to be one. Now I look back and I'm like, boy, you had pretty lofty goals, but, so yeah, talk a little bit about, how that came to be and a little bit about what you do with Clam.
Yeah, it's pretty humbling. I mean, I always tell the story when people ask, and, Tim, when I was in 10th grade, that was the year Ice Team was born in 1997. And I remember sitting down and writing that cliche essay of, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it really wasn't intended to be this kindergartner saying, I want to be a pro football player or a police officer. It was, really think about it, right? And I actually wrote about, I want to be a part of Ice Team when I was in 10th grade, because I went to the St. Paul Ice Show, met Dave Gantz, got my Ice Team pin and hat, and, fell in love with the sport. And little did I know, fast forward, I'd be a part of it. So pretty humbling, journey. And, but no, yeah, I cut my teeth guiding and doing what you do, man. Guiding, and, it's hard work and promoting and working with companies on pro staff positions. And yeah, I've been with Clam since, it's been a while. Early 2000s, 2001 to 2003-ish is when I joined on board Clam Pro staff and did that for many years. Actually created their Facebook page for them.
Nice.
There was a time where no one in the industry had a Facebook page, and I had to beg and plead with these owners of these companies that you need to have a Facebook page, it'll be something. And I remember them looking me in the eye saying, it's a fad, I'm not going to do it. And though some of those companies were Clam, Vexlar, Strike Master. So found my niche there, and yeah, loved the sport, got involved heavily on the promotional side. And then it was Mr. Steve Gertzen, who was the kind of the guy helping lead the charge back in the day with Clam, and came to one of my UPL ice fishing events and said, hey, we know you help us out a lot on the pro staff level and social media and whatnot. Do you want to come on board and take over Ice Team? And I honestly thought Tim, he was joking. I didn't put a lot of merit to the conversation. And it was 2 weeks later that I came to Clam, because I showed up on a monthly basis to talk social media, because I was handling the social media. And Nick Chito, who I know you remember, Nick,
Mm-hmm.
Nick said, are you ready to go meet with Steve and talk about this opportunity? And I'm like, okay. I didn't think it was, I thought it was something to do with social media. I sit down across, I'm in a hoodie and a hat like I wear every day. And Steve's like, so you want that job? Oh, you're serious? He's like, yeah. And I took the job and left Thorne Brothers 2 weeks later, and I've been here ever since, man.
Yes. Yes. So do you want that job are words that I think every ice angler that I've ever known has dreamed of hearing, right?
Yeah.
In this industry, do you want that job? Because, just about everybody would like to, not everybody, but, most people would kill, to be in your shoes or in my shoes. That's one thing that I've always tried to remind myself or keep fresh, is that, because it's not always easy. And sometimes, there might be some, warring of, brands, and mostly amongst consumers, really, which is funny, is that there are thousands and thousands of people who would kill to be in my position right now, like to be sitting doing a podcast with Matt Johnson from Clam Outdoors. I've done phone interviews with Dave Gens, and, being able to come into the St. Paul show and working alongside all the other pros, look around and I'm like, there are people that would, for the price of the plane ticket and admission, fly out here just to meet you.
Yep.
And here I am, they're colleagues now. So that's pretty cool. I remember hounding Nick Chido for 2 or 3 years, emails, and it was always like, well, it's fall. We don't do this in the fall. And I think the first one was basically like, who are you?
Yeah.
And I just kept going and kept going. And I remember the last email I sent literally said, they say the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So squeak, squeak. I'm not going to stop emailing you until you tell me to. Yeah. And then the following spring was when I got an email from you and invited me to come on board. So yeah, definitely a cool story.
You've earned it, man. I mean, hard work pays off, and that's what I tell people. And you're spot on with I think oftentimes we do take things for granted in the positions we have. And, and I tell this to new pros, old pros, members in the fishing league, clients I guide, upcoming anglers, that you have to remember that, a lot of people look up to you, and a lot of people don't believe that. A lot of anglers, that maybe are just getting into the sport and just got their first pro staff position, let's say, even at that level, even when you're starting to blossom, thousands and thousands of people look up to you. And I always tell that to people, always take it one step at a time, always be humble, always remember that there's somebody out there that is envious of what you're doing, and don't take it for granted, because I'm telling you, it's a true statement. You're spot on. We sometimes forget that, and we just do this. We're in the fishing business and we love it, and this is our gig, right? But you got to remember, you take the time to talk to everybody that asks the question, and at every sport show, take the time to answer questions from young and old, and just actually always have fun with it.
Yeah, that's I think one thing that I see with some of the people that have been in the industry for a long time that are doing really well is that hunger. They still, most of them still treat it like it's really competitive, and you need to stay hungry, and you need to stay relevant and change with the times and keep that, that passion going. And that's what, most of those people are still doing. They're still got their finger on the pulse of the fishing industry and paying attention to that. And not just like what new products are out there, but what companies want, because how things are done today are way different than they were done when you first brought me on. And it's going to keep changing. And it's the people that change with it that seem to, thrive in this industry, and that keep that, like, like we're talking about now, is that humility, but also that hunger. Before we get too far ahead, I just want to touch on a little bit. Doesn't do it justice to just say you manage ice team, clam, blackfish, and all-terrain tackle. How many individual pro staff positions do you manage? Because some of those people are on some or all of those pro staffs, but really someone who's on clam and someone who's on blackfish, for you, that's like two different positions to have to deal with. So how many positions would you say you manage right now?
I haven't done a exact count recently, but a few months back we were at 700 and some. When you look at Clam Outdoors, which blankets the ice belt, not just in the United States, but in Canada, we have 450-ish pros that are a part of those brands. And then we have, of course, the ice team pros, which consist of clam pros as well, don't get me wrong. And then you have the blackfish pro staff, which is open water apparel. We have quite a few on there, and they're in different regions of the country. Of course, we have the Midwest, and we have yourself, Tim, out east, and we have Blackfish pros down in Arkansas and Alabama and Arizona and all over the place. And then all-terrain bass tackle, there's over 100 guys and gals on that pro staff that are, kicking butt and taking names on the bass world. And again, we have pros on all-terrain from California to New Jersey down to Florida and to Texas. And so it's interesting. It's fun. It's dynamic. You got to throw on a different hat every day, sometimes multiple different hats a day. But, Tim, you know me well enough now to know that's how I'm wired. I mean, I love it. And I really feel like my position in this industry is to do what I'm doing, is to engage with pro staff and on the promotional side of things and the direct marketing of things and help push that message out there. And I think, part of the reason I really enjoy it and part of the reason I think I have success at it is that's who I was for 10, 15 years before I came on board Clam, was a pro staff member for Clam, and I walk those shoes and I understand, the frustrations and the wins and all that stuff. And I can relate to it. Like I said, I didn't get a position at Clam because I applied for it or there was an opening and I was working at Target or corporate America. No, I was probably guiding the day I got the call to come in. So I think it's fun. But yeah, man, it's a labor of love, though, man. If you ask my wife, I mean, Tara, it's a lot of Sunday afternoons when my phone rings and I'm picking it up or walking away from the dinner table because I got to, handle something with a pro staff member or help them out or, continue to push that ball down the hill. And that's just it. I mean, if you don't want to work, I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't want to work hard, you will not make it in the fishing business. I don't care if it's anything from guiding to tournament fishing to working for a brand. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of fun work. Don't get me wrong, but if you think you're going to work a 9 to 5 and truly be successful, don't even put your name in the hat. I'm just telling you right now, don't even bother because you're wasting your time, everyone else's, and it will not work out.
Yes.
It's truly true.
Yeah, super true. I remember I did a TV spot for our local channel out here and off camera, they asked, what is it? If we were to ask you, what is the one key to success, as a guide and working in promotions, what's the one key? And I was like, if I had to pick one thing, I would say you better love it. You absolutely have to love it because, it's funny. I used to get real threatened as a guide by new guides would pop up in my state. And, we have to be licensed. So they publish the list every year. They update it a couple times a year. So, when a new guide comes along and I get real threatened and be like, oh my God, they're going to, I was struggling to build my business as it was. And they're going to, step on my toes and steal business. And today a new guide pops up and I'm like, yeah, we'll see, because, and it's the same thing with, with pro staffers. They come in, and they're real hungry. And then they realize that pro staff does not equal free stuff, and there are, many that do well, that thrive. They get it, they figure it out and they're passionate and they love, the promotional side of things. And, like me, it's really that interaction with other people, colleagues, and, just general anglers, but, and they just fall off, they get tired of it. They realize that you're not just going to send them, thousands of dollars worth of free product every year. And you're not going to be like, oh, you're new. Would you like a TV show? It doesn't work that way.
Well, you nail it, Tim. I mean, that's probably the best advice I give to these young anglers getting involved. I mean, when I started in the business promoting and guiding and the pro staff side of things became a reality, Facebook didn't exist. I mean, YouTube didn't really exist. I mean, a lot of this stuff, these platforms we use now to market and promote and we kind of rest our laurels on, didn't exist. I mean, you actually had to hump the streets and run around and do seminars. And here's a novel idea. You used to do something for nothing.
Yeah.
You used to actually do something and not get paid for it or get recognized or get product credit or get this stuff, and that's one thing I tell people is the game has changed. The word pro staff, in my opinion, now means less professional and more promotional than it ever did. And it's so competitive. I mean, I go through over 4,000 pro staff applications a year for just clam, not Blackfish, not all train, just clam. And a lot of them enter the arena saying things like, I have a Facebook page. I have a YouTube page with 500 fans. Sponsor me. Hey, if I can promote for you on social media, send me some gear. And like I said, I remember a time where I used to go to sport shows for Mr. Twister or Shimano or whoever because I wanted to, because I knew it was a way to promote myself. And if I didn't necessarily even get anything out of it from that brand, I saw the value because you're at these high profile events where if you put the work in, you're going to get recognized. You're going to build your credentials. You're going to build your career. Now it's a lot of anglers saying, oh, you want me there? Pay me. Give me something. And I understand we've kind of created that monster. I mean, we're as guilty as anybody. The businesses are. We've kind of created that monster. But again, like you said, the cream rises to the top. I mean, you know quick when new guys or gals come on board pro staff within 1 year, if they're going to make it or break it. I can tell you within 1 year if that person's going to go, hey, this was fun, or if you're going to say this person might have something here. I can tell you within 1 year if that's a reality. And it's all by work ethic, attitude, what you do off camera per se, do when you're not getting compensated, the extra mile you go when no one's looking. That's the stuff that you can't coach, you can't teach. You got to have it in you, and you got to push that limit. It's just like an athlete. You always knew who the good athletes were because they were at the field when practice wasn't happening, training. You could see them there, and you wonder, and everyone wondered why that person was better. It's because of the extra effort they put in, and I think that can resonate in this fishing business as well as is that extra cast after a guide trip, or that extra scouting mission, or the extra research before a tournament, or shooting an extra video in your boat when you don't want to, or you name it. Those are the things I think we need to continue to hammer home on. And you're seeing those who are doing it, and you're seeing those who aren't. And
sure.
I think our industry is figuring it out, and the pro staff directors for these different brands are figuring it out. And that's why it's becoming more cutthroat because, like you said, Tim, it is more competitive. 4,000 plus applications now. I mean, 4,000 people that want to be on the pro staff for a ice fishing company. You better show me something different, or you're going to get an email back from me saying thank you. Better luck next time, but show me something different. And what can you do for the brand? It's not about the pro staff member; it's about the brand. Yeah,
I remember coming back from my first Ice Team University. I think it was 2014. I rode up, you drove me up, and coming back, I remember a lot from that trip. But I remember you saying, "Wow, now I got to go home and go through pro staff applications." And I'm thinking 50, 60, maybe 100. I was like, "How many do you have?" And you said 2,500. And I was like, "Wait, what?" And you were like, "Yeah, I get them daily. I get pro staff inquiries daily." And to people that maybe they don't hear anything back, your messages don't go unread, when you reach out to Clam. They don't go unnoticed, at least,
I read every single one. I mean, will I reply to every single one? Honestly, no. Yeah. It's tough. That's borderline impossible. I do have a wife and 4 kids at home as well. But, I can tell you what, the ones that put effort into them will get a response. It may not be the response they want, but they will get a response, hopefully with some level of encouragement or some type of dialogue. But if all you want to do is just blanket, and what we're seeing too is a lot of anglers are just blanketing the industry, sending the same email to every single company. And I've been doing this a little while. I can read through that, and you're not going to get a response from me if that's the case. You put some time into it and let me know what you can do for Clam, and copy a bio or a resume or some information about yourself and some of your knowledge, accomplishments, and there's some things you could bring to the table. Yeah, I'm going to take the time to look it over and at least give you some type of response with some direction. But of those 4,000, Timmy, well over 1,000 are, with all due respect, just deleted because it's just all about what's in it for me. Can you send me goods? Sponsor me. I don't like the word sponsor. I like the word partner. I've always said that. The word partner is way more powerful than the word sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of anglers, I think, are starting to pick up on that. But yeah, it's a labor of love. I mean, my April and May is quite entertaining going through pro staff applications. And I've been going through them already this month, and some of them are actually pretty comical. Some of them are pretty entertaining. I've had it's not just fishing. We've sponsored barbecue teams. We've sponsored softball teams. We've had professional pool players reach out to us. We've had we do sponsor right now a dog sled team.
Oh, cool.
Kim and Paul Rule. I mean, Kim is like one of the top dog sled racers in the country. She's unbelievable, and we sponsor Kim and partner with her on a ultra ice armor perspective. So it's not just fishing. And as our companies evolve, like we do all kinds of stuff. So it's fun. It's one part of the job I like is probably looking at pro staff applications because it's entertaining and rewarding, and heck, I learned some stuff when I go through them as well. So it's
nice.
Fun.
Yeah. So to that, we've touched on quite a bit. What companies are looking for, or really, what you want to send out there. It's not just a matter of, I can't tell you how many times I've seen like my name will come up on a Facebook group and somebody will say, I could do that. I'm a much better fisherman than him. It's not just about being a good angler. It's not just about, like you said, what the angler is going to get out of it. It definitely needs to be a partnership. And maybe that was kind of what helped with my successes, because I knew right from the beginning that it wasn't just about getting free product. I reached out and tried to convey what I brought to the table. Yeah, I had a social media platform, but how many people was I reaching with it? Sure. Everybody has a social media platform to some degree, but try to figure out at least how many people you're reaching. I wrote outdoor articles, so I looked at what the circulation was on those articles. So I knew that was, one of them had a circulation of like 40,000. So I knew that article was reaching 40,000 people every month. Yep. Things like that. Those are things that to me would kind of stand out, like, maybe I should look a little deeper into who this person is. And, I know I've received emails from you occasionally from people out this way, do you know this person? And sometimes I know them, and sometimes it's clear right off the bat that their numbers are way over inflated, that they don't reach anywhere near that many people. They're not guiding the thousands of people that they say they are. Nobody knows who they are. Right. So, and it's not just about, I don't think, necessarily being different, trying to reinvent the wheel or offering something nobody else does, because that's really tough to do, as competitive as it is. But being able to at least offer what, some of the people that are bringing something to the table that are working in this industry, try to emulate, some of what other people are doing.
And you nailed it. I mean, fishing ability, while it's important, like you have to be able to fish. You can't be on the pro staff of the fishing company if you can't fish, right? And all of our pro staff are good anglers, no doubt. But you're right. Are there better anglers than some of our pro staff? Sure, that's fine. Are there better anglers than you and me? Of course. Are there better ice fishermen than Dave Gens? I'd argue that, but maybe. Sure, Dave's the wizard. But again, that's not the point. The point is your ability to communicate, your ability to promote, your ability to reach people, your ability to connect with people. What is your niche? What are things you're doing? How do you relate to the people in your area? So there's a lot of things that come into play when you want to be on the pro staff for a company. One of the first turnoffs for me, generally in a pro staff email, when they want to be on part of the team, is when an angler instantly starts to spout off about all of their fishing ability. And I don't mean that with any disrespect. I don't care how you placed in the NIFC or the UPL or whatever. That's not important to me. It's more important to me is, how are you going to help the brand? How are you going to get the message out there? What's your circle of influence? You don't need to have 20,000 followers on social media. You don't need that. You don't need to be a TV show host. But how can you help the brand? What are you willing to do above and beyond to help the brand? Are you, like you said, are you writing? Are you doing seminars? Do you run a fishing league? Are you captaining kids in the sport of bass fishing? What are some things you're doing that can bring awareness of our brands to people? You getting 7th place in the last ice fishing derby, don't care. I mean, because quite frankly, a lot of those anglers in those tournaments already have been, and they're not as impressionable, let's say. They already have, let's say, sponsors. They're already the people we're not really trying to reach, I mean, to some degree. So how are you bringing new people to the sport? What are you doing that's different? And how can you help the brand? That's important because, if you ask a lot of these major brands, whether it's ice fishing or open water fishing, some of their best pro staff members they're going to tell you aren't their best anglers. Mm-hmm. By golly, they know how to promote the sport. They have the gift of gab. They're good at a sports show. People like them. They're respected. They have credibility and rapport in the industry. Those are all things that you need to find a way to get and strengthen to be a good pro staff member for a company. It's super important. You nailed it, man. And of course, like you said, you're always going to get that guy or gal that's, keyboard strong and wants to take shots at you on social media. And you know what, Timmy, I'm telling you right now, every time somebody takes a dig at you on social media, and I'd tell this to anybody, pat yourself on the back. They're doing that because they see something in you that they want. I'm a firm believer in that. I have thick skin, and I think I've gained thick skin at times because of fishing. That's fine. Every time I see someone take a shot at me or anybody or Clam or any of the brands, I just pat myself on the back and say, we're doing the right things. People are recognizing it, and they're saying that stuff because of jealousy, frustration, maybe frustration in themselves, and never get discouraged by that. And that's a good thing to remember for any kid getting involved, that you're going to take your licks. People get on social media, they want to banter, they want to talk smart. That's a part of the game. Don't get discouraged by it. In fact, take it as a compliment and take it as an opportunity to work even harder and just make it be fuel in your fire.
Yeah. I remember, I think it was my first year working the St. Paul Ice Show. Around that, leading up to that year, there had been some controversy here. There was just this one individual angler who had a chip on his shoulder against me, and for no real reason. And it was just this. Every time I turned around, they were saying something, nasty about me. And I remember seeing Jason Mitchell. It was just like a quiet moment. And I asked him, how do you deal with that? He said, I don't. So what do you mean? He said, I don't. He said, I just file it under things I've done right. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, if people can't find a reason to hate you and they need to create a reason, then you're doing it right. If everybody hates you, take a look at that. But if you have one person here and there that is, they have to look for a reason to hate you, and the reason seems silly, it's because they're jealous or, whatever. And just, don't engage. That's one thing, in being a recovering alcoholic, one thing I learned early on in sobriety was you don't have to attend every fight you're invited to. Yep. And that's really kind of translated. And I've had moments, politically things get heated, and I had a period where I was kind of, getting baited into these arguments, and sometimes for me, it's just as simple as hearing one person, it was you gave a talk about, not attending every fight you're invited to just because you disagree with something, and you talked about, conduct on social media as a pro staffer, and how everyone has an opinion. You're not expected to not have an opinion, but you're expected to share that opinion in a constructive and non-destructive way. And for me at that moment, it was like, holy crap. I know he's not specifically talking about me. Maybe you were thinking about me when you said it, but I felt like
I was typing that email.
I felt like you were talking directly to me, because I was like, you know what? I needed to hear that, because it just kind of flipped the script and kind of put a mirror up to, not just the fact that I was doing it, but what it was causing, and that's.
And I think in this day and age too, Tim, with social media being, I have a love-hate relationship with social media. I love it for all the right reasons. I hate it for all the wrong reasons. I hate it for all the right reasons. Love it for whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think right now too many people abuse it as a platform to push their agenda onto people. And I'll never be that guy. I'm always the one that I don't want to be confrontational. Sure, I have my opinions, and I love everybody's opinion. Everyone's entitled to it. but that's not how I use social media. I use social media for good. I use social media to talk about experiences and to educate and have some fun with friends and family and other anglers. And I think it's not a place where we should be bickering with each other and arguing. And I get it. And right now, our times in this world clearly are tough. And everyone's got an opinion. And it's one of those things, part of my French, damned if you do, damned if you don't. And everyone's opinion is wrong, it seems like. And I think especially as promoters in this industry, to get back on topic of the fishing side of things, as pro staff, you have to remember you represent not just yourself, but the brands you wear and the brands you show. And every time you hop on social media, whether it be Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or all the other pages out there, you represent those brands. So the second you accept a pro staff position with the company and you want to spout off, as much as you feel like you're in the right, remember that you're hurting that brand, not just yourself. Because believe me, Tim, if I had a nickel for every time I get an email from somebody screenshotting something one of our pros say on social media, I'd have a whole lot of nickels. I'd fly out and we do this in person. So don't think it. And remember, once you post that on Facebook, it's there. You can't take it back. Someone screenshots that, you can't take it back. I have legitimately seen careers ruined in this industry because somebody has a momentary lapse of judgment and gets heated on social media and decides to tell somebody where to stick it in so many words. And I'm put in a tough position. And you know why policy? We have a no tolerance policy. It's tough. I mean, I'm not telling you can't have an opinion. I'm just telling you, if you want the position, maybe your opinion needs to be held with a little more tact when you address it on a social media platform.
Exactly.
That's important. And I think you need to remember that. And I think I don't even like to go on social media right now, Tim, because of all the garbage that's on there. I'll call it what it is. It's just garbage. And, people, you don't know what's true and what's factual, and people just want to fight. We've created this culture right now of hostility and instability. And it seems like, somebody's going to argue with you that 2 + 2 isn't 4. It's just, we've gotten there, and I choose and will continue to choose not to be a part of it. And instead only use social media to talk fishing, dude.
Yeah.
Share fishing reports, share fish pictures, brag about my kids, and connect with people I want to connect with. And you're not going to find me engaging in that garbage, and I won't do it. Whether I believe it's right or wrong, my position doesn't matter. It's not the place to do it, and it's only hurting everything we do as a society, in my opinion, right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. Conduct, that is, it's one of the things that I did want to talk about is conduct as a pro staff. And this goes for any company, obviously, all this stuff does. But people, I think sometimes, especially newer people or people that have just given up, wanting to be a pro staffer, forget that their conduct off of social media, you're working with the public. I mean, that's, when you're promoting something, you're promoting it to the general public at shows and in seminars, on the water. That's, for me, that's also another place that I need to kind of keep myself in check when I'm out in the general public. Is I have felt since the day I got the first email from you inviting me to be a power stick that I have worn that Clam jersey 24/7 since that day, whether I'm wearing it or not. I'm just that guy. It feels like, it feels like family. I always feel like I'm wearing it. And I think it's easy to get lost, to lose that fact when you're out in public and, you think, oh, I'm not wearing the jersey, I can do whatever I want. We're all entitled to do whatever we want, right. But our actions always come with consequences. And what is some of the conduct you like to see or don't like to see, when working shows or just even like on the water?
Yeah. I mean, to start it off, the most important thing you have in this fishing business as a promoter, hands down, is integrity. That's the number one. That's your number one strength. You can miss a giant fish. You can botch a radio interview. You could not capture content in the show. You could not close a deal in the booth at a retailer. But if you lose your integrity and credibility, that's everything in this business. So you always have to remember that. And credibility and integrity, I'm a firm believer that a person's integrity oftentimes is forged when people aren't looking, when the camera is not on them per se. That's when you forge your integrity. What do you do when people are not looking? That's so important. And that again also comes from faith and everything else, right? But so you always got to remember that. So when you're not at a sports show, when you're not working for the brand, you have to remember that. And whether you're at a bar, whether you're at a restaurant with your friends, whether you're fishing by yourself with buddies, whether you're on the water with a neighbor, integrity and credibility is so crucial. But as far as, behavior at events and stuff, I mean, one thing we always look at is always, like you said, be hungry. Like if you're working a booth at a sports show, it's always a great place to use it as an educational opportunity for our pros. And I have a lot of pros that I feel set the bar, that do a phenomenal job at sports shows. And one guy that always comes to mind is Pat Calverton. And if anyone knows Pat Calverton and you watch that guy at a sports show, he's one of the best ever. And the reason I say that is he's energetic, he's engaged. You're at a sports show, like, Tim, to engage with the consumers. Mm-hmm. That's why you're there. Like, yeah, you want to talk to, I want to talk to you as partners and peers in the business. Yeah, you want to talk to other pros, and there's a place and the time and all that needs to happen, but you're there to engage with the consumer, to educate the consumer, to teach, to help them with buying decisions, to answer their fishing questions, to show them how to tie a knot, whatever. So you always want to engage with people. If you want to be on the pro staff for a company and show up in a booth and not talk to anybody that walks into the booth, probably not your sport, at least on the promotional side of things. So you want to engage, you want to be receptive, you want to be looking for things to do. Idle hands, right, Tim? And so if you're at a booth in a sports show and you're not talking with somebody, find something to do. Like, it's great in this day and age. I always tell our pro staff, hey man, if you find yourself in a slump in the booth or there's some downtime, film a video. Yeah. You do it so well where it's, you get those slow periods at a sports show. I don't care what sports show on this planet, there's slow times, right? Even the ice show, the last hour or this or that. I see you filming a tip. Hey, Tim Moore from TMO Outdoors. I want to show you how to rig this Mackie plastic on this drop kick. Like, find ways to be creative. This goes back to that whole going the extra mile, putting in the effort, doing the extra things. So I think those are important things, but don't take advantage of the fun. Don't dip out of the booth and take 2-hour lunch breaks. Don't do that. I mean, it happens. I have to find guys or gals every show, and how did he go? And said person might be in another booth talking fishing. I don't know. But so remember, you're always representing the brand, like you said. So integrity is important. Watch the language. I mean, again, I think we've created a society where our culture is 100% accepted of profanity. I mean, it blows my mind, but the F word, SHIT, those seem to be just people's vocabulary. And it seems like at times it's acceptable. And while I'm not judging, do I not swear ever? No, I'm not going to say I don't. But when you got that jersey on, especially representing the company, or you're on the water, you're around peers and people, again, it goes back to the integrity thing. Watch what you say, be careful there. And a big one is always be receptive, meaning you should never be too busy to answer a question or help someone out, or get stopped in an aisle when you're walking to lunch and you're hungry. When some kid says, "Oh, hey, Tim, I follow you on YouTube. What's your favorite crappie lure?" You take the time to answer that question, because I'm telling you right now, those little things have more impact than you could ever imagine. And if you want a lesson, if you want to watch, there's one person in this ice fishing business that if there's any person that's been given the opportunity to take a breather, it's Mr. Dave Gantz. And I have to tell Dave to go eat. Yeah. David, go eat. You need to eat.
Yeah.
He will talk to everybody from the second he walks in the door until he's literally getting into his van in the parking lot. And you want to look at a role model or an example for a promotional figure in the sport of ice fishing. I don't know if there's a better man than him. And I know we talk about Dave Gens a lot and we beat that drum, but there's a reason he got to where he is today.
Exactly.
And look at how he holds himself at a sports show. I've been around Dave. That man physically and mentally drops into his bed when a day at a sports show is over because he doesn't know when to turn it off from the second he wakes up to the second he goes to bed. It doesn't matter if you're 5 years old or 95 years old. It doesn't matter if he's sitting in front of a plate of food at lunch. He's going to stop what he's doing, and he's going to make it an opportunity for that person to learn something and have fun. And I don't know how he does it still. He's a savvy veteran, years and decades of doing this, and he still puts that face on every second he's on. Yeah. And it's humbling. It's pretty awesome. I mean, he is the GOAT. That's a term people use, right, all the time?
Yeah, he definitely is.
He's the GOAT.
Yeah.
And, people ask me often, hey, Dave's getting up there in age. Who's going to replace him? Who's going to be the next Dave Gens? And I immediately, without hesitation, say, there won't be one. He can't be replaced. He created something in this industry in a time that it didn't exist. You don't replace guys like Dave Gens. You don't replace basketball players like Michael Jordan, right? You don't replace soccer players like Pele. They just create a foundation that we all live by and we just branch off of. So he's awesome. If you ever get a chance, anybody out there to connect with Dave at a sports show, you'll see exactly what I mean because he's the first guy in the booth and usually the last guy to walk out with me. And to this day, I still just go, man.
Yeah. Don't ever think that it's not worth approaching Dave because he probably won't want to talk to you. The only thing that's going to stop you from having a conversation with Dave is the line of people in front of you waiting to have a conversation with Dave because he will just talk and talk and talk for as long as you want to talk. He'll talk fishing. He's just that guy.
Yep. And we got a lot of guys like that and gals. Don't get me wrong. I just always single out Dave. But there's so many. I mean, you've worked many, many booths with us, Tim. I oftentimes catch myself smiling just by myself watching the interactions take place because, I'm always so proud of the pro staff involved with our brands. And I think there needs to be some pride. That's another thing I think we haven't probably touched on is you did a little bit, but pride in the brand. I mean, you need to have pride and be proud to represent that brand. It's not about the products that you receive or the discounts or anything. Like, I think we've created a culture at Clam. Many people haven't come to Clam Pro Day. It's an intimate event. You have. The pride and the amount of people that are proud there exudes. You can feel it. And that needs to happen. And I think the best pro staff groups, not just an individual, are built on pride. You're proud to represent that company. It's not just about wearing the jersey or using that fish trap or wearing that ice armor. I'm proud to represent Clam Outdoors, and that's important. And if you really don't feel that, you need to dig deep and understand why. Because I take my personal experiences. I'm very proud. I'm very proud to represent the brands I do. I'm very proud to be a father. I'm very proud to be a husband, and if those are things you can't dig down deep and answer for yourself, man, you got to go back to the drawing board and figure it out. So you need to have pride, and that comes with the integrity. So if you're proud to be a part of something, you don't do something dumb to deface it, right? If you're proud to represent anything in life, you don't do something ignorant to put it down. And that might be something us as a society and a culture should embrace is if you're truly proud to represent something, you don't do something to hurt it. And if you keep that message strong, hey man, you can go a long ways in this business without being the best fisherman in the planet. There's other ways to make yourself very, very valuable to a fishing company and have a lot of success.
True. One thing that I do as a pro staffer is, and I've always done, is when I'm at events and I'm working with other pro staffers, especially like St. Paul or Pro Day, is I watch the people who are where I want to be. And for a long time, I just did what they did. And just try to emulate those people. If you do what they do, you'll get what they get. It's kind of one of the sayings that I've heard thrown around to a degree. But you also have to find your own voice. So you take that that emulation and then kind of build off of that. I remember my first pro day was the first year I was an ice team pro, and I was a nervous wreck. I was a mess. It was the year that Clam released the pro tackle line. And I remember Jeff Anderson asked me to film a tackle tip. And it was probably the most useless piece of video he has in his arsenal, because I couldn't even form a complete sentence. I was so nervous. I didn't expect it. So when he asked me, I was just like, oh my God, what? Because I think I had just followed up. I think I went right behind like Jason Mitchell. And I was just like, what am I doing here? And it was horrible. I knew it was horrible at the time. And afterwards I remember asking Jeff, who's been in this industry a long time and started out really young. And I said, what, you have any advice? And he said, just be yourself. And I didn't know, I had no idea what he meant. I was just like, that doesn't help me at all.
Everyone says that, right?
Yeah. It was like 2 years later, I was filming, maybe it was 2 years later, it was ice shots. And I went out on the ice and I had Thomas Allen with me. And we filmed a bunch of tips, video tips. And the next morning he came up to me at breakfast and he said, do you know how many tips we filmed yesterday? And I said, nope. He said, 12. Do you know how many of them you did in one take? I said, no. He said, all of them. I have so little editing to do because of you. Your voice is amazing. And that's when it clicked. I was just like, my voice, that's what he meant. Be myself, find my own voice. Stop trying to sound like Jason Mitchell. Stop trying to sound like Dave Gens or Chris Grandrude. Find my own voice. That's what he meant when he said, be myself, just because I was trying to sound like what I thought he wanted me to sound like, And so, but some of that comes from, there's a time when you just have to monkey see, monkey do until you figure it out. And then you always want to kind of evolve that into your own voice. That's what I found worked well for me.
That's phenomenal advice.
It's still going that way. Still, I'm still trying to, find my voice. I feel like some days I turn the camera on. I'm just like, what was I talking about?
We all have those days, man. At the end of the day, we're all human. And that's another thing too, is, and going back to the humility side of things, at the end of the day, we're people. Like, Jason Mitchell, he's a dude. He's your average dude. And he would say that sitting here. He's your average dude, just a great guy, loves to fish. But yeah, millions of people look up to him and put him on a pedestal and idolize him. But he's another guy. He's just a guy that loves to fish and has been privileged to be in some cool positions and get some opportunities. But at the end of the day, we're just a bunch of dudes and gals that love the sport and work hard at it. And we got to remember that. But no, good advice, Tim. Continue to find your voice and, find uniqueness and be yourself and try not to be something you're not, because I'm telling you, people see through that. You're going to be fake. People see through that, whether it's the audience, the consumer, industry, brands, we see through it. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist after a few short encounters to realize if a person's being real or not. So again, that goes back to integrity and credibility. Don't lose that. Continue to make sure that shines through in everything you do. And, you're a winner in my book.
Yeah. And there's no group of pro staffers, especially in Clam, oh my God, that gets together and like makes fun of the people that aren't very good at doing video tips. Right. Like, there's nobody that I've run into especially within Clam, that is looking to tear anybody down. Everybody has done everything they can to build each other up. And if you succeed, I succeed, we succeed, more opportunities for me, if the better that Clam does. So, that was, I think, a misconception that I wasn't really conscious, but I kind of had that feeling like, oh my God, everybody's going to make fun of me now. And there's no little group of people that gets together and makes fun of you behind your back.
Right.
if anybody has anything to say, they'll say it to you.
Yeah.
There's plenty of ribbon that goes on.
It's a team, man. It's like we do the pro day event in August, and some of the guys and gals listening to this and watching this might not know what that is, but it's a giant event where all of our pros from across the country and Canada come in for an annual training. We also release our new products. And I've had many counterparts of mine at other brands, whether it's ice fishing or open water fishing, ask me how we pull that off. And I'm going to be honest, this isn't meant to be boastful. We have the best team out there. I mean, we have the most united team out there. I mean, we have, I think, the raddest pro day ever invented. No one pulls off what we do. And it comes down to family. It comes down to team. It comes down to understanding that we're all in this together. We're all trying to accomplish the same goals. You're right. We don't put each other down. We create this atmosphere of brother and sisterhood, and it resonates. And if anyone's been to that pro day event, you see it. There's very few handshakes. There's a whole ton of hugs.
Yeah.
I've been involved with a lot of fishing brands over the last, call it 20 years doing this. And I've never been to a pro staff meeting or event like what we put on a pro day. And again, it's not meant to be boastful. It's just, we work hard at creating that culture and that atmosphere that we are one big team. We will work together to accomplish the same goal. And if we do that, we will find that path. And I've had many other pro staff directors ask me, how do you pull it off? I can't get my guys and gals to come to meetings. And the ironic thing about that comment is, you've been to Pro Day, Tim. We don't compensate anybody to be there.
No.
That's the one event that I don't care if you're Dave Gens or Jason Mitchell. I'm not paying those guys to show up to Pro Day. I'm not paying for them to fly across the country to come there. Everyone's got to pay their way at Pro Day. And that's been a thing we've established years ago, yet we still get 400 people to show up from 30 different states and multiple provinces in Canada, because I think we've created that family atmosphere, that pride to be a part of the brand. And hey, man, if there's ever a lesson in the playbook, that's one of them. If you're another brand watching this, is create that atmosphere. You can never be too busy to pick up your phone. You can never be too busy to help someone out. And you create that message all the way down from Dave Osborne, our owner, all the way down to the temps in the warehouse, and everything in between. We've created that atmosphere at Clam, and it's been successful for us. And that's why coming to work is fun.
Yep. Well, Matt, this has been awesome. It went by much faster. I thought maybe 30, 45 minutes, but we could probably talk another hour, I'm sure. But I know you have a job to do. So thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it. This has been, there are lots of questions that I get asked on a daily basis, and these have touched on almost all of those. So thanks for your input and the time. And it's always a pleasure to see you. I know we'll be talking a lot more here over the next few months. So thanks. And thanks for coming on.
You got it, brother. Good job, Timmy. See you in a few months at Pro Day, and keep catching them big crappies.
Oh, man.
I just catch giant crappies, and I fished in the absolute junk weather the last 3 days. Highest was 34 degrees, and we ain't getting big ones.
Yeah, I'm due. So thanks, Matt.
Good job, man.